Hey everybody, this is Brendan, and I'm here with Tim from Carey Development, and I'm super stoked to be hanging out with him and you guys, and have the privilege of just learning about his business and what got him into knife making. And thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Definitely. So it looks like we've already got a bunch of people in the chat. We've got Casey, we've got Nate Telford, Ryan Martin, and yeah. Why don't you kind of kick us off and kind of share about like what got you into knife making?
Yeah, so I guess I would have been like mid 20s. I was just looking for something to do and I ordered some 1095 off of Alpha and just tried to make one to see if I could do it. I didn't
Hmm.
really know what I was doing at all. Uh, Used an angle grinder and I heat treated it in a barbecue pit, which isn't a
Oh
very
wow.
good isn't a very good heat treat. Um,
Yeah.
and I've kind of always just been a maker. Like I like making stuff. Uh,
Hmm.
I did leather work for a good while and decided a few years ago to try and push myself into see if I could make knife making a thing, and it's kind of gone from there.
That's cool. So like how many different knife models do you have right now?
Oh, good question.
Because
Um,
you
I
sent me this one.
yeah, so that's the Wendigo,
All right.
which I do with a paracord handle and also scales.
Yeah.
Um, and then I have the Hydra, which is my most popular.
Okay.
Um, it's just a good drop point EDC blade.
Yeah.
Um, and then I've got the Gen, which is a newer model.
Oh, that's cool.
It's it's one I've been working on for a good while. Um, One of my buddies who's a highway patrol asked me to design him a knife for duty, and I had quite a few renditions of it, and he decided he liked that one, and we kind of just stuck with it, and it's off to the races. Um, and then his a whole bunch of his buddies wanted them, so I've got like 15 of them going right now.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and then I just recently dropped the Goblin.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a really small EDC sheep's foot.
Hmm. Looks like
Uh,
a good deer skinner too.
yeah, it would be great for that. Just a good small deer skinner.
Hmm.
Um, and then the Banshee. I don't have one right here right now.
Which one did Casey get?
Casey has a few. He has the Siren Dagger, and then he has a Hydra version one.
Okay.
Uh, and he also has a Basilisk, which I don't really make anymore. That was his
Oh,
first one.
Nate just asked, how much is the goblin gonna go for?
They'll be in starting in the 220 range.
I feel like that's very like a good price range. Like it's not too much.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I don't know what the profit margin is on a knife, but I know there's a lot of knife makers right now that are charging a lot of money, and it's like how much are you actually making on that versus like what is affordable for the average person? Because I know like $300 for a knife for a normal person is a lot. Like
yeah,
that's like probably your grocery bill for a couple weeks.
yeah. Especially right now. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I try to start around 220, somewhere around
Hmm.
there for Nitro V, and then it goes up depending on blade steels and scales. Um, they come standard with G10 or Canvas micarta scales, and then if they want something different, it goes up. Um, but it only goes up what the material costs. So I
Sure.
don't make anything extra off of that. So my margin of money pretty much always stays the same, depending on the knife, you know.
Sure, because you have a certain amount of work into actually producing the knife,
Right,
so that's what you're profiting.
right.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense because like if the scales cost more to make, it still takes you the same amount of time to make. It's just a higher cost for that specific material.
Yeah. There is some materials that are way more work, you
Hmm.
know, to get a good finish on.
Sure.
Um, like Mammoth, for instance. I do upcharge for Mammoth just because it's such a nightmare to sand.
Mm.
But there's really only a couple of those. But
So, like, how long have you been making knives, like, as carry development?
as Curry development, I started around last summer.
Wow. So it hasn't been that long.
Yeah, yeah. I've made them off and on since early 20s or so, but they were mainly just for me and for fun and my dad and stuff. Um, I'm not, they weren't very good,
Sure.
but they were learning, you know.
Hmm.
And early last year, I was doing leather work, so I was doing wallets and stuff like that. And I decided that I just wanted to push knives and actually become good at it, you know.
Yeah,
And it's kind of just grown.
that's cool. So, did you ever see yourself where you're at right now with like coming out with different models and potentially having a following and all that stuff?
Not at Absolutely not.
No.
um, Really, I just did it, and I did the carry development name just because I wanted to develop EDC stuff, you know. And I
Hmm.
didn't want to do it. I didn't really plan to put them out there. I mainly just wanted to do it and have somewhere to show my own stuff, um, and have a name to it. But it really just, I didn't expect it, you know. But
Yeah.
once I started putting them out there, people just wanted them. So
So have you like developed kind of like a vision for what you think it might become now that you are kind of rolling into this new, almost like a new world of EDC and having a following and having people that are like actually pursuing your knives? Is
that's a
there
good
like
question. Um,
maybe a vision for the future for the company?
I kind of like the way I'm going. Um,
Yeah.
of course, I want to grow, and keep going. I don't, I want to keep designing, but I don't want my models to get overbearing to where there's too many options, um, which it's kind of getting to that point. Uh, but I like the way it's been going. Right now, I do mostly on books, book orders, and I'd like to get to a point where I'm not doing that.
Sure.
But that's the way that I started. And once you get into it, it's kind of hard to get out because you're working, you're taking orders 4 or 5 months in advance, you know.
Mm.
Um, but I would like to get to a point where I just make stuff and I drop it and say, here it is, take what you want. I do a thing on my drops when I do them that are like a build your own drop, which is kind of
Mm.
fun because all of my scales are interchangeable. Um, so for instance, this Hydra and this Hydra, you could just swap the scales on them if you had a different blade
Okay.
steel or blade finish. Um, so I do a drop every once in a while called Build Your Own Drop, where I just make blades and I make scales and I put out different color hardwares, and then they can pick and choose what set they want.
Mm.
So they still kind of get a custom feel for it, you know. I really like those, and I would like to work that in more.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, maybe a way you could go about like catching up and then having it where your books are done and you can do drops is like batch processing somehow. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not sure what your process is, but I know that like there's a lot of avenues you can go, like getting them laser cut or CNC'd or whatever in batches.
I don't really want to do that.
No.
Uh, I mean, I've had a couple of things laser cut, um, like the Selkies. I don't know if you know what the Selkies is. The Selkies is
No.
it's a G10. Just one sec. I'll grab
Sure.
It's a G10 handle that's slotted,
Hmm.
and then it has replaceable inserts. So a
Oh,
drop point blade or a titanium pry insert.
well,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah, so you can just take the two screws out and then pull your blade out, put whatever insert you want in, and then go to town.
Hmm.
Those inserts for the titanium, I do have those laser cut just because titanium is a nightmare to cut. Um, but everything else, I'd really like to keep it here.
Sure.
I enjoy it. If it gets to a point where I need to save time or something, then I'd have to figure something else out. But I like doing it myself.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of like a side hustle, right?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's a side hustle that's full time.
Yeah. So,
Um,
like, what I mean by that is like, it's not your full time job. It's more of like a passion project, and you want to kind of keep it that way, like where you're still passionate about it versus being like, oh, I have to get this done or I have to make certain amount of knives. Like,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I would not enjoy myself if I was have like. Of course, I have to do stuff and I have to get it done by a certain date that I've told
sure.
people. But if it was like, oh, I have to do this, I wouldn't enjoy that.
Hmm.
You got to have enjoyment, or else you're not going to put out good work, I
Oh,
think.
definitely. So, do you ever see yourself making other like products, or is knives kind of like what you want to stick with?
That's kind of the purpose of the name Carry Development because I mean, I'm going to always make knives, but I like EDC. I've always been an EDC guy. Uh,
Hmm.
but so yeah, I didn't want to be pigeonholed. You know what I mean?
That's what came to my mind, and I'm like, you have a pigeon in your
Yeah,
lineup of like logos, so you're like, I'm not going to be pigeonholed.
yeah. Good point.
That
Never
could be
thought
a
of it
good
that way.
sticker.
It could. But yeah, I don't want to like. I didn't want it to be Tim Allen Knives.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a broad name where I could, and I do. Like, I've got an SFK, the goal that I do,
Mm.
and I do beads. Man, I am not used to this camera.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
do
Okay.
beads and stuff like that. And I do wallets whenever people ask me to. Like Casey's got a wallet of mine. Um,
Okay.
so I kind of like to be broad.
Yeah. And while we're talking, if anybody in the chat has any questions, feel free to throw those in the chat. We'd love to have some interaction with you guys, answer any questions, or if you just want to know about something or learn anything about us, let us know, and I'll throw it up on the screen.
Oh, yep. Casey does have a Wendigo. Forgot about that one. He's got a lot of my stuff. Uh, Ryan, thank you. I appreciate it.
So let's learn a little bit about you.
About me?
um, Yeah, like what are
I guess
some of
I'm
your
fine.
favorite beverages? I know you mentioned Monster before.
Yeah, I'm a Dr. Pepper, water, and Monster guy.
Okay.
I like uh I like all three of those.
I love beverages of any type.
Yeah,
Usually a lot of coffee.
yeah, I'm not much of a coffee person, which is funny
Okay.
because my best friend owns a coffee business.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Um, I've always, if I need energy, it's a Monster. Sugar free though. I
Gotcha.
don't like the sugar.
Huh, Casey, how many cans are chilling in the shop right now?
Um, just one, the one that I'm drinking.
Ah,
Yeah,
so it sounds like you need a restock.
I think so. I've got a few in the fridge though, inside.
Have you? So, do you like energy drinks,
Yeah, yeah.
or is it just Monster in general?
Oh, just Monster. Yeah,
Oh, okay,
nothing else. I've tried others. I'm not a fan.
gotcha. And is it traditional Monster or like any Monster?
Traditional, sugar-free
Okay,
traditional. Yeah,
gotcha. Because I know they have like a million options now.
yeah, they do.
Like you go into a Love's truck stop and there's like 25 flavors.
Yeah.
um, okay. Do you, so I guess another question would be, where are you located and
Yeah.
what brought you there?
Yeah, I'm in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma,
Okay.
which is just outside of Tulsa. Uh, I'm like 5 minutes from Tulsa. We're pretty much a Tulsa suburb.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I grew up in Texas. Uh, I grew up in Houston and then moved to San Antonio. And we moved to a town called Bartlesville when I was a teenager in
Hmm.
Oklahoma. And yeah, my dad moved here for work, and my parents lived here for about 6, 7 years, and then they moved back and left me. But yeah, I liked it here, so I figured I'd stay.
Nice.
What about
And
you? You're in New York, right?
yeah, I'm about an hour and a half below Buffalo in Jamestown, New York.
Oh, nice. Would that be
I was
Catskills?
no, so that would be like 4 or 5 hours east of me.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Western New York, so like probably 30 miles from Lake Erie,
Oh, okay.
like the Great Lakes. So Jamestown's actually really close to being as far west as you can get in New York. So, like, if you wanted to get to New York City, it's a 7 hour drive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize New York was that big.
Oh, yeah.
Never been.
Um, and if you drive like from where I am up to like the top of New York, it's like seven and a half.
Oh, wow.
So takes a while.
Yeah.
uh, but I'm not originally from here. Like my family moved here when I was younger, but I was born in Farmington, Maine. Um,
Oh,
so about 10 hours from here.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And literally all they have there is trees and blueberries.
I like blueberries. Sounds like my place.
Oh yeah. They have a blueberry festival every summer.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, Okie Ridge is in here. I don't know if you know him. He's in Oklahoma,
I don't. I
I
figured though,
think.
so Okie.
Yeah. I can't remember what town he's in, but he actually just opened a store and he carries some of my products.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Where are you
So,
from? Okie Ridge.
yeah, dude, put it in the chat. I actually carry a company called First Form in my store,
Yeah,
and they make energy drinks that I really like. They've got like 8 different flavors.
I've been meaning to try them. I like listening to Andy Frisella's podcast.
Oh yeah, he's in
Pretty.
Freedom, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how far that is from you.
I don't either. Never heard of it.
How far from Tulsa are you? Nate, that's patriotic. Freedom,
Freedom.
Oklahoma.
Can't get more patriotic than that.
No. Yeah, so like do you have any other family in the area or people that
Just
you
my wife and kid, and
okay.
my father-in-law lives about 3 hours from us. Um, but yeah, I'm all of my family's in Texas.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, Okie Ridge said 3 hour drive straight east of me.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah,
not
he's
too far.
probably closer to Oklahoma City then.
Hmm.
That's cool that he carries your stuff all the way over here.
Yeah, I can't remember how we got connected, but I actually make custom leather balm and a solid cologne for him. And then he carries my beard balm and my conditioners like cast iron seasoning, cutting board conditioner, and blade wax.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got a lot of products.
Yeah.
I don't know how you keep up with it all.
It's hard. I mean, luckily, but not luckily, I mean, sadly, I don't get a lot of orders, like not enough to keep me busy. I have been doing this for 9 years, so I've become too efficient, which means I have a lot of downtime. Because I can make like thousands of units a day if I actually had the orders.
Oh, wow. You are.
Yeah. I bought a giant wax melter several years ago. So like the 2 ounce tins, like these guys,
Yeah.
I can make like 7,000 of those a day.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I need to get with you on that. I
Oh
know we
yeah.
talked about it.
This is actually blade wax I made for Urban EDC Supply.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
I have no idea how well they're doing because I haven't heard from them ever again, but
You made your part.
yeah. And I also did, uh, this would be another cool item that you could do too. I did custom logbooks, knife logbooks.
Oh, yeah, I
So,
saw that.
like, if people are buying your knives, they can actually log the different knives they buy from you. And the info inside is
Oh, cool.
like the date of purchase, price they paid, design style, blade steel, handle material, overall length, blade length, date of sale. Like if they resell it, then they can actually show like how much they sold it for.
Yeah.
But I've had a couple other people ask if I could add in information below for like sharpening. So
Sharpening.
like, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's kind of like a um, never mind. My mind's spacing. I have like 10 of them, the small notebooks that you carry around.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I first got the idea from a company called Log and Jotter in Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Um, they do like a monthly subscription, and every month it's a different notebook, completely different design. And they have like a couple thousand subscribers. So the cool thing is it's $5 shipped to your door every month. But it's completely blank, so it's not like it's specialized or anything.
Yeah.
But
$5 for your
then I
door.
was
That's actually really cheap.
yeah. But you are paying every month, so literally every month, $5 gone.
Yeah.
um, and so I actually don't even use them anymore. But what I do is when I get them, I'll put them in my store because they never make them again.
Oh,
And probably around Christmas time, I might put them all on my website so people can buy them. Like if they want an old edition that is no longer available.
oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Hold on, look.
Um,
Chat. Oh,
oh yeah. Let's see here. Casey, things you never thought you'd hear on the AHM YouTube. Freedom, never heard of that.
that was funny.
And then Okie Ridge, I'm by Woodward. I'm guessing Woodward, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Not sure where
Heard of
that
that.
is. Casey, he has the best candles, period.
I need
Yeah,
to get some of those.
Casey's gotten a bunch of them.
Yeah, I've seen some great pictures from him of them.
Yeah. And he actually just took some really good pictures of the new
Yep.
photographer's Hank.
Yep.
But and I don't even have it here right now, but I have the Stay Sharp Hank with the eagle that I really like,
Yep. Yeah,
and
those are
then
cool.
one I'm releasing soon is this one with Awesome Hank. Keep it neat.
Super neat.
So the idea behind it in the back is microfiber, but it's actually custom
Oh,
uh, topo with my logo.
yeah.
But it's going to be a part of a whiskey set, and let me see here. Aha. It's going to have this whiskey glass, which kind of matches
Yeah.
a whiskey logbook and a few other things, but keeping it neat, like whiskey neat, but it's made to shine your glasses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
That's
you're
cool.
keeping your glass neat.
Yeah.
um, just trying to think outside the box for some of the products that people normally buy. You're like, oh, Hank, like your glasses, right? Well, I don't wear glasses, so but I drink out of glasses.
Yeah. 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 I've always got a hank for the glasses.
Yeah. Oh, and Nate, still been burning my maple bourbon candle. He's a young dude. He's I think 14 years old.
He is. He's got a knife on order from me.
Oh, nice.
Well, his mom does for Christmas.
Yeah, but he's ordered a bunch of like candles and a few other things, like gifts for family members and stuff. So really cool guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's cool to
Well,
see people younger into this type of stuff, you know?
yeah.
Like kind of gives you hope for the next generations.
Hmm. Well, and something that I'd like to really talk more in the EDC community about is like buying things with purpose. So like there's so often where you've got all these consumers that just buy. Like they're buying knives and they sit on a shelf and they never use them. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, great, you have 50 knives, but like for what?
Yeah.
um, and it's like at the end of the day, as a maker, like, don't you want to make a knife so that somebody actually uses it?
Oh, totally.
Like, it's not made to just sit on a table and take pictures of. And like, especially in this economic age where it's not easy or affordable to like own your own house and provide for a family. It's not easy anymore. Like being like, hey, like I'm gonna invest, $200, $300 in a knife and then not buy 49 more. Like maybe take that
Unless they're
money
mine.
and
Unless they're mine.
which as a maker, you're like, oh yeah, I love the fact that they're buying my stuff. But
Usable.
at the end of the day, I want to see people succeed in life. And the reality is, I'd rather like if they're going to spend $100 on my website, great, but they could also be putting that $100 towards paying off their house or buying gifts for their kids or something cool. Like family experience. There's a lot of things in life that you know we're kind of like crows. It's just like, oh, shiny things.
Yeah.
And we impulse buy, and then later on you're like, oh hey, I maybe shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I've got a closet full of folders and that I don't even
mhm.
use anymore because I don't even carry folders anymore. I just carry fixies, you know? It's like,
Well, and you make them.
yeah. Yeah. I make a folder and I don't even really carry it, you know? I mean,
Oh
I've
yeah.
been carrying it, but it's uh it's not my favorite. I just love fixies. But that's not to say that y'all shouldn't buy my folder.
Yeah, I guess what I mean is like teaching the younger generation, guys like Nate, like, yeah, it's really cool to collect stuff, but understanding the implications of like budgeting out like where's this money coming from? What could it be going to? And down the road, like say when you're 14 years old, taking all of that money and dumping it into starting a business,
Yeah.
and then once you've become successful in that business, then support other makers and get the EDC stuff. Like don't just
Set
buy the
yourself up for
EDC stuff and then set yourself up for down the road 10 years. You're like, man, I've got like 50K worth of EDC stuff, but no business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
That's a good way to
like,
look at it.
yeah,
Because doing a business isn't easy or cheap.
no. Oh, Nate said, meant to ask you, Tim, does the folder have a lock?
No, it's a friction folder.
Okay.
I'm working on designing a frame lock version of it, but it's going to be a while. I'm going to kind of ride the friction folder train for a little while because it seems to be really popular.
Yeah. Huh, high tide. Nate Telford, Brennan's candles are the best. Well, thanks, guys.
I need to get them. You have a sandalwood don't you?
Sandalwood and bourbon, yeah.
Yeah, I need to grab that one.
Yeah, I've got so like part of what I've been developing over the years is like I started with candles 9 years ago. And over the last several years, I've added solid cologne, beard balm, as far as like the scented stuff. And then as far as conditioners go, I've got leather balm, blade wax, cast iron seasoning, cutting board conditioner, dog paw balm. And then I've actually just added hand and body balm in my store. I'm kind of testing it out on people in person first.
Yeah.
And then I'll be adding it to the website probably next year. But funny thing is, I started making it, and I actually got some orders from other places. Like I just sent a whole batch to Idaho and some other places.
Wow.
And I'm thinking it's going to be pretty popular. It's kind of like Working Hands, but slightly scented, and it's 100% grown and manufactured in the U.S. So like I make it obviously, but every ingredient I've sourced from American farms.
There you go.
So it's beeswax, Wagyu beef tallow. Like the beeswax is from Illinois, the Wagyu beef tallow is from Texas. There's sunflower oil that is made from sunflowers in Nebraska, and coconut oil, which is from Hawaii. And then I add essential oils very lightly. So like it's probably 1/8 of what I would put in like the beard balm or something.
Yeah.
But then you get like kind of like a masculine scent to it, and that kind of covers up the raw scent of beeswax and sunflower oil that can sometimes be kind of nutty or floral, and not very manly.
Yeah.
So I've been developing that, and then I've actually been talking with some friends here locally, and I might be connecting with a bunch of butchers in the region and collecting all of the beef fat that they produce from butchering cows and actually rendering down my own tallow
Oh,
because they throw it all out. It's literally like a waste product for them. And for me, I could be like, hey, like if you've got 50 pounds of beef fat waste, I'll give you $5 for it or something because they're literally throwing it in the trash. And
oh
then I
wow.
could render that down, and beef tallow sells for like $2 a pound. So, do it in mass quantity, you can be making some good money, and a lot of local restaurants are actually interested in it. So,
Oh, cool.
that could be a whole nother side project on top of adding it into my own products. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a lot, man. And you run a store?
The store is actually going to be closing at the end of the year
Oh, really?
because it's in a mall, and as we all know, malls are failing.
Yeah.
But so it hasn't been the greatest but it's been a really good learning experience, I think. Like how to run a store, what to expect, as far as like what people expect when they come into the store. Not
Yeah.
high sales volumes, but um, eventually my plan is to actually have a store on my own property and work up to that again. But it'll probably be a few years. And when I close the store at the end of this year, my plan is to go full time on YouTube and just create content for a year or two and do it multiple times a week and consistently so that I can build up a following. And
Right.
then once that following is where it needs to be, then I can open up that store. And like I have friends that do that same thing, and people come from all over the nation to visit their store because they have a following.
Right.
But if you don't have a following, then nobody knows that you exist.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a catch 22 at this point for me, where I'm like, well, I opened the store without the overarching following needed and actually succeed at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I couldn't imagine owning a store or running a store.
It costs a lot, especially for inventory, um, which is part of the issue.
Yeah.
But also, I had to make a lot of product of my own stuff before I opened.
Yeah,
Because
you
you
got
think like, oh, like 12, 24 candles of every scent. That sounds like a lot, right? No. It literally looks like a tiny little dot on the shelf.
yeah.
So I made 100 of everything when I opened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
my best friend owns a coffee business and he has he had two stores in downtown Tulsa, but he just moved it all into one. And it's like,
okay.
I don't know how you do it, man. Like people always flowing through and got to keep up with coffee, you know.
Oh, yeah. And depending on the size of your roaster, that can take you a while or it can be pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah,
But ultimately, one of the biggest expenses of running a store or anything is the people. Like, I haven't hired anyone because I can't afford it. So if the store's open, I'm there.
yeah,
Um, and that kind of essentially eliminates any production option or marketing option for myself while I'm there because I have to sit there.
yeah. That makes sense. You're spending a lot of your time that you could be making product or whatever at the store.
Yeah, it's usually 6 to 7 hours depending on the day. So that's 6 to 7 hours of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of sounds nice, actually.
At times it is.
Yeah,
Um, but you do it enough times and then you're like, I opened a store because I'm a people person. I love to interact with people. Um, Especially because after doing this for 9 years, I was like, okay, I've been making stuff by myself for like 10 hours a day for forever.
hmm,
And I want to actually interact with people. Well, you kind of have to be in a high traffic area for that to happen. And
yeah,
being inside of a mall doesn't actually work for that unless it's like Christmas time.
yeah. I get that because, like, luckily, I have a full-time job, uh, but like I work 9 hours a day there, and then I come home and I work 6 to 7 hours every day here in a garage by myself, you know, and it's kind of like sometimes you just need interaction with other people. Luckily, I still
Yeah.
have the day job, so I can get that at work. But man, if I was doing
Oh,
it full
yeah.
time, it'd be 100% by myself until my wife gets home, you know.
What do you do for a day job?
I'm a machinist.
Okay. So that kind of fits into what you're doing, just in
Yeah,
a different area.
yeah. I work for a small company that we make 18-wheeler parts.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but I've been machining since I was 18,
Hmm.
and then since I work for a small company. we kind of do everything. So I had to learn drafting and programming and all of that, um, which really helped with query development because I
Yeah.
CNC my scales.
Hmm.
So yeah, it kind of all blended in, uh,
Okay.
metalworking and CNCs, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like everything I've kind of done in the past because I'm always doing something, you know. So like in my 20s, I made guitars. I've made probably 30 or 40 guitars, and I've got like 5 or 10 myself. The others I
Hmm.
sold off. Um, but that was kind of the woodworking side of it, and that kind of transferred over to cutting scales and all of that stuff, you know. And
Hmm.
then um, my early 30s, I did a holster company, Kydex holsters. So that kind of transferred over into sheaths.
Yep.
And, and then I did leatherworking for a long time, so that kind of worked into sheaths too, and wallets and stuff like that. So it's kind of like everything that I did before, because I'm always having to do something. I can't just sit around.
Oh yeah,
Um, everything that I've done has kind of just blended itself into this one thing, which is kind of cool.
definitely. Oh, we got to catch up on comments. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
uh, Casey says I got to try his coffee too. I'm not sure if they're talking about my coffee or your friend's coffee. But I know down here, High Tide set or Casey says, Tim, what's your buddy's coffee company?
Origin Coffee Company.
Oh, okay. Origin Coffee Company. I'll have to look up that up later.
Yeah.
Nate says I actually just bought some coffee. Oh yeah, he bought it for me, for his grandparents for Christmas. And then High Tide says, "Oh yeah, we were roommates at Blade Show a couple of years ago, and it was a lot of fun. Um, it smelled like fresh coffee. It's because I brought like my whole coffee experience with me, which has expanded since then. I'm actually dropping a video next week on my YouTube channel of the only American made hand grinder for coffee, and it's awesome.
Oh wow.
All of the parts are made by a foundry in Missouri, and then the company is called Red Rooster Coffee or Red Rooster Trading Company, and they assemble it all, and it's all designed in house in Missouri. So pretty cool.
That is cool. I love that you
Um,
keep everything American. Like,
well, it's kind of in the name,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the way that this started actually was a podcast called All American Maker, because my vision was I wanted to interview makers all across America that made things in America. And it was hard because I had to literally drive to every single one.
Uh,
So I actually interviewed people in Kentucky, in Wyoming, in Oregon, in Washington. Like I did probably 10 podcast episodes, and I drove like 7,500 miles.
wow.
um, but then obviously COVID hit, and you couldn't really do much of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, podcasts have merch, right? So then I kind of took all the stuff that I was making, like candles and different things, and I evolved it into the product line, which is now All American Maker.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Minus the driving part.
Um, oh, I love driving.
I do if it's like 20 minutes down the road.
Yes, Nate, I am going to Blade Show this next year. That is definitely on the list. Um,
Atlanta or
uh,
all of them or
all of them.
nice. I'll see you in
uh,
Texas.
oh yeah, yeah. My House of Blades in Texas carries my stuff too, and so they want to do some stuff when I'm there, which will be pretty cool.
Oh, very cool.
Uh, High Tide made this comment, but I'm not sure what we were talking about at the moment.
I think it came through whenever I was talking about think all everything I've done blending into one. I
Oh
think.
yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you, High
Yeah.
Tide.
Nate says, I want to go to Blade Show so bad. Definitely go, dude. It's
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah.
You gotta like book your hotel like now. I don't know if High Tide's going this year, but the hotel that we stayed in, it was like a hop, skip, and a jump away from the convention center. But it was definitely easier to book there than in the actual hotel in the convention center because there's this place called the Pit in this like indoor column where everybody hangs out at night, and a lot of people would stay there. But that place literally books up like 364 days beforehand.
Oh,
um, so it's kind of hard to get. Casey says, I wish I could do what y'all do. Well, you could, dude, but you actually do some cool stuff too.
but then
He's a
who would edit my
pastor.
photos?
What?
But then who would edit my photos?
Right? High Tide's in Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that ain't far. It's about 3 hours from me.
Okay. So you're 3 hours from everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, and Nate says it would be an expensive trip. Yeah, so I actually drove, and I would drive again if I went because it's only 12 hours from me. And then I have my car while I'm there
Hmm.
because everybody else flew in and then they have to get an Uber to the hotel, but then nobody has a car.
Yeah. Fun fact, I drive because I have never flown.
Never?
Never. Never been on a plane. And I
Dang,
don't
bro.
plan to.
Oh, man. It's so much fun.
No, I'm good on the ground.
Um, well, to each their own. Yeah, Nate, it's definitely worth saving for. I mean, I know some guys they'll literally save like thousands of dollars in cash before they go, and they spend a lot of money. Um, for me, like I think I might have spent like 300 bucks last time, but it was more about the experience and meeting people in person and just building relationships because that's the stuff that you build upon. And then later on, when you're talking with everybody online, it's not this weird, like, hey, you're my buddy online,
Yeah.
but like you've actually hung out for several days in a row and you've talked and built some kind of a connection in person. So then later on, you have some camaraderie to fall back on versus just being like, all of my friends are internet friends.
Yeah.
um, and I mean, I know that's how a lot of things develop right now, but if you can actually jump in and go to something like Blade Show and meet people in person, it's a huge thing. Yeah. EDC is 100% community over gear. Got to visit all the boys in person. Dude, Casey, are you going to go to Blade Show in Atlanta this year? Yeah. 16-hour drive. I get it. It's 12
Yeah, it's a
hours
pretty good
from
drive.
me. Yeah. I think it was 12 hours for High Tide too, because he drove from the other direction.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's 12 or 13 for me.
Okay. Well, and if you went as a knife maker, which I would totally recommend and apply
Yeah.
like now.
Yeah, I already did.
Um, okay. Uh, it would be kind of hard to fly with all your knives anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably ship them to my mother-in-law lives in Atlanta, so I'd probably just ship them to her.
Oh, Casey might be working in a booth.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
booth? Yeah,
Weston Fighters.
shipping the knives is a good option too. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll probably be doing Weston or
Oh,
me.
okay. I've actually applied to get a booth, but because I don't make actual knives, they didn't accept me. Um, but whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
So just make one knife
You know what's crazy is
and
literally in
put
the
everything
town I
else down
live
with the
in.
one knife.
Yeah. In the town I live in, there's literally everything at my disposal as far as like manufacturing goes to source every component and part of the process of making knives. Like the building my shop is in is a quarter-mile long building that has been around for 165 years. And the entire first floor is industrial metal cutting lasers.
Oh,
And they cut out parts for the interiors of nuclear submarines, trains, earth moving machines, like big stuff. They make like ovens for companies that heat treat stuff. Like we're talking like 15 by 10 foot pieces. And they cut 6 by 12 foot sheets of steel. They can cut up to an inch thick stainless steel.
wow.
Um, so I could send them CAD drawings and they could cut out anything I want.
Very nice.
Uh,
Yeah, New Jersey Steel Baron's probably not very far from me either. They do lasering.
yeah, well, I mean, in my town, it like Western New York was like the industry
Yeah,
before there was industry anywhere else.
yeah.
Um, like you know the Crescent Wrench?
Yeah.
That's literally from my town.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
like I drive down Crescent Street to get to my building.
What? That's cool.
And back in the day, there's probably 50 buildings that the Crescent Company had that don't even exist anymore. They
Yeah.
had an entire hammer division where they made hammers and stuff, and those buildings don't even exist anymore.
Man, it's sad to see stuff like that. It's like,
Yeah.
where did the American drive go,
Um, but
overseas?
like there's multiple heat treating places. There's a company here. They do finishing of metal for everyone. Like I could go over there. Like I have friends that make titanium rings and stuff, and they get all their finishing done there.
Oh,
But they do aerospace parts. They do stuff for NASA. They do stuff for like everybody. Um, like any Cummins tractor trailer engine, they're all made about 15 miles from here.
dang.
Um,
So you
yeah,
could
they
source
have.
everything there in your town and not even have to do anything and just offer the one knife.
Yep.
Get you in the blade
Uh,
shop.
yeah, I don't know. I thought about it, but it might be a couple years down the road.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So anyway, rabbit trails.
Yeah. Tangents.
um, so will you be at Blade Show this year or this
Uh,
next year?
I hope so.
Okay,
I'll definitely be at Texas, and Atlanta will probably be if I get in or not.
sure.
I would like to go for the fun of it, but it's
Hmm.
hard for me to get out of the shop even for a day.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so we'll have to see. Texas, I will
Well,
be there for sure.
if you end up getting a booth at either of them, and like say you don't have enough product to fill the table or whatever, like I'd love to maybe like collab on the table or work with you on it.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
cool.
because like I've got my like a ton of different products that are all like knife or EDC themed. Um, that would fit in really well there, but I don't make knives, so they're like, no,
Yeah,
we're keep sticking to knife people.
yeah, yeah. Which is it kind of makes sense
Yeah.
being being Blade and all. Um, but yeah, EDC is such a big part of knives these days.
Hmm.
So I don't know. So
Yeah.
maybe
Well,
one day they'll
yeah.
open it up. Man, they'd have to have a big place if they opened it up though, because everyone would want in.
Oh yeah, it would be nuts.
Yeah.
I've talked with a couple guys about actually creating a side shoot of like EDC in a separate building,
Uh,
so that it happens at the same time. Like people could go and experience both. Like they're in town, they might as well do both, but have it not be in the same building. I don't know.
that's actually a really good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I know TC down at Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and they're the largest sponsor of them. And I was thinking of talking with him about it because it would be a really cool opportunity for a lot of other makers. So,
Yeah.
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 Well, we should probably end the live stream, but I
I
just
need to
wanted
get to
to.
work.
What?
I need to get to work.
Yeah. So I just wanted to thank everybody for watching. Hope you guys
Yeah. Thank
enjoyed
you.
hanging out, and thanks Tim for hanging out with me.
Thank you for
And
having me.
yeah, hope you guys have a great night. Um,